He just, he signed the contract with the guy on the spot. The man had to put down his name, that I will now, do this for the Hare Krishna Society. I mean, he must have felt very, very strange, Prabhupada turned the whole thing into more or less a business deal. So, Prabhupada was pushing like anything. But of course, in the beginning, in the early stage, Prabhupada followed the policy. You come in like an eagle and you come out like a plow. So even when you study his lectures, in the beginning they are of a very soft tone, more like intimate almost. When he preached in the yoga studio, and he's describing Krishna Vrindavan, mentioning it. Prabhupada even said, I was afraid if I tell to these people about four regulative principles, they will say, very nice, Swamiji, now you can go home. So you don't hear much of this. Yeah, but 72 or 74, you listen to these lectures, it's just one firework of push, hammering in like anything, one point after another. Devotees even, you can see even devotees can have a hard time to cope with that. They go, but Swamiji, people will think, so we don't care what they think. But Swamiji, how do we look when we do like this? We don't care. We do like this. And just like Prabhupada pushing and pushing and pushing. Very strongly. So we have to do the needful. And the rest, definitely, it's up to Krishna. It's like Arjuna, he didn't even know that during his friendship with Krishna, as they were going in the forest hunting animals, which is one of the duty of the Kshatriya, because he has to train himself practically in weaponry, therefore non-Vaishnava Kshatriyas are not even vegetarians. So, just to practice and target, Arjuna didn't know that this is actually all future preparation for the future upcoming battle of Kurukshetra. Krishna already trained him for that. So it's not up to us even thinking within the frame of one lifetime. Sometimes we think, when you get older you start to think, okay, what have I done? What did I actually really achieve in this life? What is my contribution to Srila Prabhupada's movement? And often you may start to think, well, it wasn't so much, isn't it? What? I distributed a few books. Okay, maybe some people took inspiration to chant Hare Krishna. Okay, but in comparison to Prabhupada, what he achieved, it's just nothing. Not much, to say at least. So sometimes, there's a kind of syndrome. It starts around 50 or 60. Even Kamis know that you feel like compelled on the basis of your achievements in this lifetime to make the final print on the planet Earth and leave some important message behind. I remember my grandfather, he was driving a train in a city. So he was considering himself the acharya of train driving. And he made it very loud in a train. When he was driving in a train, those days, in the communistic days, these trains were actually open boxes. And they drove through the city and people actually jumped on it and jumped down, like this. So he was in front, I remember he had a big boots, and because it was an open space, there was no windows. In the winter, And he was just driving the train, always the same line, number 14, I remember, always driving number 14. And then he was always loud in front, now comes the next stop, And he acted like, once he was brought, and the older he got, the worse it was. And he started to actually give political commentaries to that, and he was a very devoted communist. So, and up to the point that one day they just threw him out of the train, Because they couldn't hear this seniority puffed up talk anymore. So this seniority can become as a disease where you just feel compelled, you have to say something very heavy to bless the world with all the experiences you had. And then that's usually where young people just start to laugh and they just think, oh yeah, the old bum is talking again. So we should not commit the same mistake in a spiritual sense that actually we take ourselves so seriously. and not Srila Prabhupada and his mission too seriously. People can distinguish that, you know. That's the reason why Prabhupada was so pushy, because he had a mission to represent. Regarding himself, he had to tolerate so much. I mean, these hippies in the beginning, they knew nothing about pure devotee. They were familiar with him. So many offenses were done, you know. And those actually who grew up later on, they remembered in what kind of way they treated Prabhupada in the beginning. It was incredible. He was just cooking, cleaning, and they were just hippies lying around and eating. And, you know, they couldn't, but rather quickly by his purity, they understood they are dealing with an incredibly special personality, especially those who went first time with Prabhupada to India. Because they thought actually, India is full of Prabhupads, you know. But when they came to India, they realized how respected and unique Prabhupada is in India. So that gave them a complete another dimension. Prabhupada was in his homeland, especially when he went with them to Vrindavan, they realized how intimately Prabhupada is connected to Krishna. That was like a seminar. So we have to give it that push, but we cannot expect anything, you know, in return. We have to be satisfied with what we are doing. Like, you know, practically what we are doing, if you look physically and technically, okay, in any field that we are doing, without exception, you will find a karma who is doing it better. One should always remember that. Even what you are doing right now, there are people who are doing sweets and they are running professional sweet shops, which you cannot imagine how expert they are. You know, I just saw a photo of a, you know, biggest cake in the whole world produced by a crew of 25 people. It was double as high as this building. You know, yeah. And they do things like this, karmas. And regarding tastes, and regarding form, and regarding management, regarding construction, it's all beyond us. But they don't have one thing. They are no devotional service. And this is what makes the activity of the devotee so unique. You know. So this is important. Otherwise, it's quite, you know, materialists will tell you, what are you doing? You join this movement to roll some sweets? Are you nuts? You know, that's for girls. They didn't do things like that. You know, even in India, they will think, what? You became a philosopher and you end up rolling sweets? You never find in Bhagavatam, and then Vyasadeva was rolling some sweets, you know. I mean, they will say, what are you doing? This is for women, this is not for men. Or just to send an Indian person to clean a toilet, for many Indians, it's just unthinkable. Still, those they consider themselves from a Brahminical background and all this. And there are so many things we are doing which are considered from a material point of view by certain people like intellectuals and academic people. They are considered low class. But for devotees, absolutely no low class or high class. It's all devotional service, that's all. And that one has to value. Even devotees sometimes start to think like this. Do I have to do that? Do I have to do these kind of things? I never forgot one incident. When I was preaching in Berlin together with Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj, we had our GBC arriving, Sri Vishnupada arrived. There was always panic, okay? Regardless if you were his disciple or not. He carried such a high charisma. Sri Vishnupada is coming. We were just two brahmacharis preaching in Berlin. So, you know, and I realized just 15 minutes before he arrived, nobody cleaned the toilets. You know, we had a big flat, you know, there was like 3 toilets. So I ran into the toilet and started to clean the toilet. When I was finishing the third one, I turned around and he was standing already behind me because actually he wanted to go to the toilet when he arrived. And he found me there cleaning the toilet. And he looked at me and said, what are you doing here? Like, meaning like, you are the preacher, you are supposed to clean the toilet. I never forgot that incident. Because I thought, maybe one should not discriminate like this. So what? There's nobody else here to do it. It's as simple as that. Later on, the toilets which were integrated, the flat used to be an office. And it got some really old-fashioned set of toilets and showers to it. So Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj, because he was such a good preacher, there was always this young man coming around. And he had to really technically devise methods how to entangle these people with devotional service. But there was not so much to do. It was just a simple flat, And we didn't have some sophisticated programs like vegetarian Saturday or something like that. So, but he didn't want these people to go home. So we had a room with buckets with color. And anybody who came had to paint a toilet on the bathroom. You cannot imagine how many times the bathroom and the toilet got painted. Actually, the color became so thick on a certain point, it started to peel off from the wall. There was layers and layers of color, in that bathroom, in the toilet, just to keep them around, just to make them entangled and do something. Because
different colors. Different colors.
Okay, any kind of color, just to keep them around, So this was one of the preaching techniques of Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj. It was actually, on a certain point I told him, can't we have something else? These buckets with colors, it's annoying. Anytime I go in the bathroom and I shower, it's wet because the color didn't dry yet. And it was designed that it's next morning dry, and next morning another guy came and then he gave him again color. They painted that bathroom over and over again. So he asked me simply, what do you want them to do? If you don't give them any engagement, they will go away. What do you want them to do? They cannot go on that you understood with books. They cannot do that. So what do you want to do? Can you imagine for 2 years I ate nothing else as kitri and saw this bathroom being painted. And from that program, 13 bhaktas in 1 year joined. Actually the system was we sent them immediately from Berlin to West Germany because Berlin was like an island. It was separated. Because it was still East Germany around. Because actually when they stayed in Berlin, they started to fall down again. Berlin is such a kind of, it's like a mega Copenhagen. It's such a low-class notes there that these people they were falling down again. So we always extracted them from Berlin and sent them to West Germany, which was like in comparison to Berlin, like heavenly planets. It was like preaching in hell. So I remember, I didn't know until then that you can paint with color so many times it doesn't stick anymore. It becomes so heavy by its own weight, it starts to peel off from the wall. And I asked him, what shall we do? The color is coming down, it's painted so many times. And he said, just scrape it off. And we start again. So the real thing is to have, to push. And what happens then? Yes, And don't think it was easy. I had my first conflict regarding lunacy there, because our first bhakta, he joined the second day. We went out on Harinam. It was just me and Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj sitting in the middle of Berlin in a crossing called Kurfürstendamm. We were just sitting there in the middle of the traffic, and a guy came immediately and was sitting next to us. And then he immediately wanted to join. I never liked him much. He talked a lot about Jesus. And, and he immediately, so he stayed over there with us, and he stayed another day, and then he stayed 1 week, and then he stayed around, and then became more and more familiar, more and more obnoxious, more and more offensive to Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj, started to give him instructions. Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj was he's a kind of person, he doesn't really, when things go really bad, he leaves. It's still until today between us a little bit. Because, he never put any opposition, he just left in a certain point. Yeah, but it's not my nature, not to leave, I rather talk it out, So I remember things culminated to such a degree that one morning during the breakfast, as this guy really, after half a year or something like this, he was already so obnoxious to Bhakti Bhushana Maharaj, giving him instructions and commanding him around. So I just grabbed him on a seeker and dragged him out of the door and, and kicked him out. With no warning. I just flipped out. And then I came back, I was thinking, oh, now I will get it. Because Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj's whole preaching work for half a year got destroyed in 1 minute. As I dragged the guy on the seeker out of the door and kicked him out. And Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj was finishing his kitri in the morning. And he looked at me, and the only thing he said was, thank you. And that's it. So I felt, at least I don't get cursed. 2 weeks later we found the man in the street completely intoxicated and just ran over by reactions. So it's in one sense dangerous, when people come to Krishna consciousness, they don't know what they are dealing with. And don't think that it didn't happen to Prabhupada and his followers too. Because pure devotee can tolerate, but Krishna doesn't. When a certain point Krishna says, okay, now it's enough. And that was sometimes very visible when Prabhupada was protected by Krishna, because Krishna he's in control, he's Rishikesha. So he can make your senses to go so much out of control that you go completely nonsense, just spin out. So one should be careful not to introduce people to offenses. Right away from the beginning, therefore the educational thing has to be right away from the beginning there. Devotees have to always assume position of a teacher. And not just an academic teacher, but teacher in a practical sense, that they correct people. And that has to be also done in a indiscriminate way. You don't yell on somebody like just because he's making some unconscious offense or he's dirty or whatever. Prabhupada tolerates so much, But he was always educated. Even when he had his first, carpenter, he was carving the murti of Lord Jagannath and smoking simultaneously. It was a pack of cigarettes on the head of Jagannath when he was carving. Prabhupada said, well, at least you should smoke only 3 cigarettes a day. Size it, minimize the whole thing. And he did that. And then soon after he stopped smoking altogether. So Prabhupada was very careful not to harm actually the devotional attitude. But simultaneously there was always correction going on. There was always educational thing going on. This is a responsibility we have. And people do not like it. They think, especially nowadays, my God, when you see the world of being filled with so much arrogance and obstinacy to any alternative, approach. It's amazing, When they come to Krishna consciousness, they immediately oppose authority. But when they go out, they have to accept authority on some other regards. All the time. It can be the construction workers, what kind of sadhana they have? They have to be already 7 o'clock out there, working. Authority all the time. You will be told what to do. So, this is the heavy letter. I know some of my brothers, they like to quote this. There was complaints those days. Those days there was problems we don't have today because Sankirtan parties. Can you imagine how great America is as a country, physically spoken? And there was still a problem. Who is going to distribute where? There was zonal arrangements. Prabhupada had to regulate the whole thing. That each Sankirtan party being sent out basically from a particular temple, this was temple-based parties, okay? That when they enter the zone of another temple, they must give 50% from their collection to the temple. And they must unconditionally follow the instruction of that local temple management. So America was divided into zones. But, however, how many problems came up, even in relationship to public, Prabhupada is stressing. So if the Sankirtan parties in Satsarup zones are irritating the public for selling so many books, that's one thing. But by their selling books, they are doing the greatest service. What your 1 hour preaching will do, they will hear and go away. But if they have one book at home, then they will read, their friends will read, and some solid work is done. So the art is to sell many, many books and not to irritate the public. So you may instruct all others how to do this successfully. That is sannyas and that is GBC. There are so many places to go. So why there should be business competition Sankirtan parties in New York? This problem should be adjusted between the GBC men. This is what Prabhupada wanted, the GBC body being above the level of temple presidents and simply coordinating things so people don't bump into each other, which is actually the only meaning of management. Otherwise, what's the use to manage things, really? Management means that every devotee has a place to serve. That needs coordination, and for that there is needed an authority who says, no, you don't go here, you stay here. Because if you go here, you will disturb him in his service. That's the only meaning of management, otherwise there's no need to manage, really. So God helps those, they help themselves. That means we have to initiate an action, and the result is... It's like vegetarian service is a classical example. I mean, what do? I mean, you just sit there, distribute prasad, smile, but it accumulates. And the result of this is, practically spoken, like in Copenhagen is one of the, cities where people have basically positive attitude towards devotees. This is coming from this. This doesn't come by nothing. And it's like bit by bit you create an impression. For us it may not be very satisfactory because we think, oh my God, why don't they come and chant and join and do something? Look, we are a small part of people doing the same thing over and over again. Hey, some new life, Especially when you get close to places like Russia and India, These devotees managing, they have their own problems. They have too many devotees, they have too many things going on. Practically unmanageable, the whole thing. But, they don't have this problem of being just 5 people surviving in the middle of nowhere, Sometimes people call, I pick up the phone to the temple, and they go, hey, I'm coming tomorrow, I would like to have a room in a guest house, That's actually only phone calls I get, I'm coming from Calcutta, I need a room in a guest house. And we don't have a guest house. It's a very small temple. We are only 8 devotees here. Something like that. And they go, oh, very small temple, very small. I can hear on the phone, they don't understand what I'm saying. Because 8 devotees in a temple, you find in India a temple where there's 8 devotees in a temple, where is such a temple? You can go to the last place, there's some little town in India, and there is maybe a temple, or maybe there is no temple, well there's at least 500 people coming together, or something like this. Even there's no temple. What to speak when there's a temple? Can you imagine how spoiled these devotees are? And here we are like, oh, somebody came around the corner. Oh no, he is crazy. Okay, oh no, hey, there's another lunatic here. Oh no, this is the only preaching result you get for 1 month, It's like, it can become very, very frustrating. No, it should not be, because, so what? You're doing your thing. There is, you have to always remember, there's countries, huge countries in Europe, there's practically not one functioning temple. There is not one thing, it's just here and there some little congregational activity. This is fact. So for the fact that there's Denmark and that there's a temple in Denmark and it's functioning like this, so it's something. It's something. A small place, Denmark is a small country, come on. And it's in the middle of nowhere. Who cares for Denmark? The Germans, they consider Denmark like some kind of, like appendix. Appendix in a body. It's a piece of intestines which you don't know really what it's functioning for. Sometimes it gets infected. That's the only thing how it got known. Otherwise, the whole life you wouldn't know you have an appendix. So Germans, they consider Denmark being like appendix. Something there, you know, it's this transit country. You just go through and drive to Sweden and whatever. And Sweden is considered from a European point of view like another planet. Just that's behind the water, that's just way out there. Just elks, you know, and that's it. And then in the middle of Sweden, there's a few devotees sitting there and discussing the future of Sweden. What are we going to do with the elks? So Prabhupada also stressed very much the idea to be satisfied in what you are doing. Just, you know, especially in this area. You need to be satisfied, okay? There is something happening. It wasn't happening before. So, okay?
I was just wondering.
No article.
Usually.
Did you see it on the anything?
Yeah, it's, I don't know, maybe there's some mix-up. I thought Keshapriya was going to take it, but then maybe Amogali came and she, because...
Amogali is back?
Yeah.
Amogali is back, and I told him that because what was exchanged in Lalitanath and Keshapriya this morning was that Madhavsar is taking it, but if he's not taking it, then you can take it. So I passed that, so it seems there's some mix-up. I'll probably try and find out. I can ask...
He's in judgment right now.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody thinks the other one is doing it.
Okay, so Priya told Lalitanath in the morning when he asked her that if Madhavasra doesn't come, can you do? He said, no, I cannot do, I have a catering.
Who?
Keshapriya.
She's a catering. Yeah.
She had to give a sample, but now she forgot she forgot an appointment that there were 9 women coming to see her.
Yeah, I saw something.
Yeah, so they came when she was about to go to this, take this prasadam that she had prepared. Then these 9 women came up, and then she remembered, oh, I had an appointment. So they are all sitting up in our rooms there.
That's
quite fascinating. But I tell you, just to illustrate the point.
I am used to it, like this happens.
Just to illustrate the point. At least it's positively messed up, There's something, somebody's coming, something is happening.
This happens from time to regularly. I mean, one school program forgotten, some teacher is calling her, you are in Van Blues, this is the address. Yeah, but why are you asking? Oh, we are coming today. What, you are coming today? Yes, please come.
Therefore, devotees should have notebooks. Believe me, you don't have to be a manager. If you would see my notebook, it's like a notebook for a senile, person. I write each single idiotic thing down in my notebook. I have a calendar. Every year, it's a whole library of calendars I could produce. I write any idiotic thing down. You know why? Because not only that I forget it, I want to forget it. I don't have to think about this. Anytime I think, oh, what's next? I just look in the book, oh, that's next, okay. Then just pick up a point and go on it. I have a schedule for every day. Otherwise, you end up with situations like this. I find it so humiliating to be caught up by unpredictable events. Even now you came and you said, hey, it's going to be some Prabhupada Katha. And I was heading to start construction because I was so excited. There's a sunshine. After 2 days, I can make some columns. Then I realized, no, actually, there's Prabhupada Katha schedule. So I looked in my notebook and there was a Prabhupada Katha. But I didn't read it. So notebooks. Or to speak, when you are chanting and something pops in your mind, you have to do this and you have to do that particular thing. Just write it down and forget it. Keep on chanting.
I was